Hi BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and today I'm going to do a review. I'm holding the Frozen DVDs because the book I am reviewing is Conceal, Don't Feel, and I got that from the library and already returned my library books because I was starting to feel tinklings of stress again, because I always do this where I get excited about these bigger books that I want to read, and over 500 plus pages. One was around the 600s, I think, and the other one was probably maybe the same amount or maybe more. I don't know. And it was Plain Bad Heroines and Wolf Hall. And all of a sudden, I had this desire to check them out, and then I looked at them and realized those are kind of long. And it's going to take me more than a few weeks to read those. So I decided to return the library books. I had finished 3 of the books I already checked out, so that was good. That made me feel a little bit better. And if I am interested in those 2 books, like really interested in them, then I will get them from Books A Million. Or who knows, maybe I'll get I'll see Wolf Hall at the roast office one day, which I have seen it there, but, with that place, it's a used bookstore, and books will disappear. They'll be there one time I'm there, and then the next they won't be, and I go so sporadically that it's unpredictable. So, anyway, this is my first attempt at reading the Twisted Tales from the Twisted Tales series. I have been thinking about reading that. I heard a lot about it on BookTube from people like Haley and Bookland and a few others. Tati is another one I think I've heard about but I do not remember her channel name at the moment. She's the one who hosts the Disney, I think it's the Disney Readathon, where you read underrated Disney movies. And I think she's the host. Anyway. So I decided to start with the Frozen one, and I had fun with it. It was very cute. It was basically, I did hear on one review because I was curious and decided to read some of the reviews after I read it, and one reviewer who didn't like it felt it was because it was basically a retelling of the movie plot, except for it went in a few different directions. So each of these Twisted Tales, usually they have a question or an idea where basically it's like a what if this happened instead of this kind of thing. And which I personally like the idea of a what if scenario. Well, you get in a TV show, where you get to see what if this happened instead of this. Friends did a what if episode. Actually. A two-parter episode, and I thought that was really I enjoyed that. So I'm always a fan for those types of stories or episodes in the case of TV show. What if this happened? What if this character made that choice instead of this choice? And in this case, it's what if Anna and Elsa had never met and they had been raised separately. So they took one of the beginning event of when Elsa accidentally strikes her sister, and puts her in a sort of coma-like state, and they go her parents take her to the trolls. And what ends up happening in the movie, if you guys remember, Anna had her memories erased, and, but she still, remembered her sister, was still part of her sister's life, and Elsa was forced to, keep herself in her room and not really interact with anybody, and just, her and her sister couldn't really, have a relationship. Well, in this story, what happens is that Elsa is so terrified of her sister not remembering because she needs someone to confide in. Her sister is her best friend. Her sister is the only one who is not scared of her and her magic, and so she freaks out and interferes with the troll's magic. And so the only solution is to keep them separated completely. and erase memories of both their memories of each other's existence completely. So Elsa's still an Arendelle, raised by her parents, being trained to be queen one day, and Anna is raised in a village up in the mountains to a couple that owns a bake shop. So she learns to be a baker, and help her parents take care of their little shop, and she has a good life. Elsa, she has a good life, but she's also very lonely. And then the same thing that happens in the movie is the parents die, but what ends up happening is that Elsa finds out that she's a sister through, like, her parents giving her the special lockbox, and there's this painting inside of it, which includes Anna in the painting, and it triggers her memories. And her powers, her powers are also triggered around that time when she finds out her parents have died. Her powers are triggered, and Anna somehow, and she doesn't. Her memories aren't triggered as easily. She doesn't remember, but she gets bits and pieces, but they find out that they cannot come in contact with each other until Anna remembers completely, because then what happens in the movie, Anna will freeze if she comes in close contact with Elsa. So it follows a lot the same plot in the movie, except for there are a few different elements. Like I said, instead of, them, like, Anna doesn't remember, obviously there's the fact that Anna doesn't remember her at all, and Elsa didn't remember Anna, but instead of, like, her at one point striking her and freezing her heart, it's more that if they come in contact at all, then she'll freeze completely. So it's kind of a little different than in the movie. It is also and it also has all the same characters, but the way these people meet and interact with each other is a little bit different. Like, we actually get to see Hans courting Elsa and trying to woo her and win her. And of course, just like with Anna, he charms her and, makes sure he plays the role of the perfect guy for Elsa, a guy who's patient and willing to listen to her and offers comforting words. And now, of course, there is one, like, he does show a little bit of pity for Elsa in the story, but that's probably not enough for most people to like him. But he does actually show some pity for her. He does feel bad for her because, of course, he has 12 siblings, but he's still an ass. And we also get his perspective in the story, which most people probably would not care about his perspective if not all. And it's only, don't worry, it's only one chapter where we get his point of view, because we get to see his point of view on the situation, and he expresses his frustration. And like I said, he says he feels pity for Elsa because she's alone. She doesn't have any siblings, and he's so used to it, having siblings, and even though, they're annoying, and he can't stand them, can't stand that because of them, he's like, he will never have his own throne. At the same time, he can see where she would be lonely. So we get to see, it's kind of interesting to see him courting her and going through all the trouble of trying to win her over and courting her and stuff and trying to be her perfect guy, and, and which also means we don't have to get the whole Anna having goo-goo eyes for him and thinking, it's true love even though I just met you 5 seconds ago. Well, okay, maybe like a couple hours ago, at least. But still. So that was a relief that we don't, although he does try to pursue Anna once he and Anna meet, because they do meet. He does try to, pursue her, but, the good thing about her being like, having raised in a village, she has more interactive with, spends more time with other humans. She's not isolated. She doesn't just interact with the staff at the castle. She interacts with all these other people. She has loving parents that are, she always had loving parents, but she interacts with other people, and she's still very naive and still, but she has been around enough people to not be so naive when it comes to trust. She doesn't just jump to thinking, oh, I love Hans now. I mean, she sees that he's attractive, and she thinks, oh, you're Elsa's prince, you must love her and everything. Which, of course she's gonna think that he loves Elsa and everything, that, she's gonna think he genuinely does love her. Because she hasn't been raised in a kingdom. I mean, she's been raised in a village. She wasn't raised in a kingdom, so she doesn't know how marriage politics works in noble and royal families. So, of course, this is a Disney fairy tale world. So, in Disney World, people might marry for love. When the real world, when it comes to marriages, it doesn't work out that way. You don't always love the person you're betrothed to. We also get more of the Duke of Weaselton, or Wesselton. We get a lot more of him, and he's even more annoying in the book. Like, Hans, of course, was annoying, he's the bad guy. You're not supposed to like him. And you're not supposed to like the Duke, because, of course, I think he's just there for comic relief. He's supposed to be annoying, and then maybe a sort of potential villain, but not too much of a threat. But in this one, he's a little bit, he was actually more pressuring Elsa. He somehow assumed that even though he was just a trade partner, he had a right to pressure Elsa into getting married to Hans, and she did not want to do that. Like, she liked him before she realized he's a bad, right-off bastard, but she didn't know she wanted to get married to him. We also, Kristoff, of course, is in it too, and he meets Elsa Anna right away, and it's very similar to how they meet in the book. Not exactly. Well, yeah, it is pretty similar. But I will talk about that more in a minute. But they meet, and we get more of them flirting and being annoyed by each other and stuff. So that plays out very similarly as well. And so was the Olaf. Olaf, of course, is in it too. But instead of Anna meeting Olaf after Elsa conjures him, not realizing that he's actually alive, via her magic, that's how it is in the movie, but in this book, Conceal, Don't Feel, Elsa meets him when he's right away. She interacts with him right away and realizes that he's alive, and just to keep him hiding in her room. And Olaf is still charming and funny and oblivious as ever. And Kristoff is very much as, like, a himbo, I think that's what the word is, as ever, a nice guy, a little, not very good with the not necessarily good with the girls, and not being interested in them until he meets Anna, but it's just, but both of those characters still as lovable as ever. So now, which brings me to what I was going to say about how the scene is almost exactly the same. So, not only is the plot very similar to the movie plot, like basically the same plot, except for maybe the plot going in all these different directions, and how the characters meet is a little different, but the lines are the same. The author includes the same almost the exact same dialogue, maybe in the exact same. And we also, going by the title alone, that Conceal, the book also includes the lyrics, even though obviously it can't be a musical, but it does include lyrics from the songs and, some of the dialogue that the characters say. I mean, there's, like I said, there's the title, and there's a few other incidences where characters say things like Anna, when she's leaving, she runs away and everything. The whole, the author describes her taking off her cloak and removing her gloves, and how her cape is a hindrance, and now she decides to let it blow away. she says, "Let it go," and all those other, in those, like, other lines from the song, that opening the song of "Let It Go." So, I think you, I think there are mixed opinions on that, because I feel like, I think for nostalgia purposes, and if you really love the movie, and you might not mind that. You might find it very sweet, and I didn't mind it. It did not bother me. I just was more, like, I kind of expected that, because I knew, I had read review. I kind of expected it. Like, I wasn't surprised, but I was more like, of course they did that, and we're like, oh, that's cute, Like, I thought it was kind of funny that they included, like, song lyrics, and they include the exact dialogue. I thought it was kind of charming, but I can understand where some people might not like that, because they want something completely original, completely different. We also have, and then, I think, though, the author did that because, I think it was the safest bet, because the movie is still, the story is not that old. I mean, maybe 10, 15 years old, the first one. So, and it's still very popular today amongst little girls, and even people my age still, hold it in their hearts. So it's not like an older Disney movie. It's, So I feel like the author probably thought the safest bet, I mean, I could be totally wrong with this, but thought that maybe it was best to make it as close to the plot of the movie as possible, because people might not be ready for something completely different. They might not be satisfied, and they might still critique it, criticize it, and that it was the safest bet was just to stick to the original plot, but do it a little different. And like I said, for me personally, it had enough differences that I was okay with it. I was cool with the book. Like I said, I was one of the people that wasn't personally bothered by the fact that it wasn't completely original, that it was something, like, of course, it's also coming from the person who loves a lot of the live-action Disney movies, and I know a lot of people complain about those because, again, it's not original. It's basically the same plot, but with, live people, not actors just doing voices. But unless you're dealing with a talking animal, or like a magical object like in Beauty and the Beast, of course, this was gonna never be live action. I don't think. Well, actually, no, it actually kind of was live action, because the show Once Upon a Time did, which is partly why I stopped watching the show, because I was like, really? You're only doing this because it's a cash grab. Which, okay, they're still a business. The TV company is still a business. But still, I have issues with that show. Which I've said a million times already. One day, I don't know, I might one day just do a whole video where I rant about the show. I'm just afraid to rant about it, because I know that maybe some of you do watch it, and I don't want to offend anyone. And I don't want to get into discussions or arguments about it, but I do know that I constantly mention that show, and why that I don't like it, but anyway, so let's get back to my review of Conceal, Don't Feel. But like I said, I liked the references, and I was cool with it being basically the plot, but, being a little bit different, but not completely different. Like I said, how characters meet is a little bit different. And we got Han's perspective, and we also got 2 chapters of Kristoff's perspective, and which is nice, because there are times when he ends up being separate, we know that there's that one scene where he gets separated from, he decides to walk away from Anna after in the movie, he returns her to the palace thinking she's gonna be kissed by her true love, but, in this one, it's more along the lines of, the moment when, I think he was maybe right after he lost the sled in the movie. It's been a while. I'm thinking about watching the movies again, since I just finished the book. Where he's like, I don't want to, and she goes off walking away by herself, and, and Sven convinces him to help her, and he's all like, oh, she's ruined me helping anyone ever again. It's more along that, like, the book combines that scene from the movie with the other scene in the movie, when, after he drops her off, and he's, walking away, and thinking, and he's like, oh, she's found her true love, blah, 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 And then Sven was like, no, you dumbass. You love her. And she loves you. You're probably better for her than the other guy. Which it turns out is true. So, yeah. Like I said, I had fun with this one. I enjoyed it. It was very satisfying. It wasn't like a masterpiece or anything, you know. I mean, and the writing style, I don't know if it was just because I'm not the target audience as a 32-year-old, but I know that, but the writing did feel a little more tell than show. I mean, but like I said, maybe it was more because I'm not the target audience, like, it's more for, like, a middle grade, because, you know, people that write these kinds of books probably assume that these twisted tales are not necessarily older people aren't going to necessarily read them. Although they obviously are, because a lot of us grew up with Disney, and, you know, we all fell in love with Frozen, even though we're a little, you know, we're a little bit older. But anyway, I think I would like to read more of those at some point, but like I said, I'm glad that the library has them, because, you know, I was interested, but not so interested enough that I wanted to spend the money on them. So I'm glad that my library has them. I think I did recall that the Cinderella one sounded kind of interesting, and with the way the direction of the plot goes, the little question it asks, the what if this happens to this, kind of, like, it got me interested, because it sounds like it would allow for Cinderella and her prince to get to know each other, and for the relationship to develop a little more, because of course in the Disney movie, it felt very love at first sight. Although, at least with the live action one, I know people have a problem with the live actions because they're not original. They're basically a live action version of the cartoon. But at least with that one, we do get to see the prince and Cinderella interact with each other outside of the ball, and we get a little more of the prince's story. We get a little bit more of his backstory and why he's holding this ball in the first place, and so I think it kind of tried to not copy, but it probably used like Ever After and stuff as inspiration for him. Which, yeah, the reluctant royal is very, a common trope, I think. But anyway, the Cinderella one sounded interesting. I don't know about the other ones. I'm curious about them. If I see there's a couple other ones that are, like, very, Disney retellings that are, like, they have the adult ones that are just started coming out. They're, like, these adult stories are what if the hero fell in love with the villain instead, and they're very smutty, I think. They're supposed to be very smutty. But there's also these ones that are like a villain story, like a villain origin story. So I'm mildly curious about those. Although I think I'm more curious about the Twisted Tales ones. So eventually I will check all of those out, the ones that my library has. But I'm going to, I gotta read those in doses. I can't read them one after the other. It would just exhaust me. So, yeah. So, if you're interested, check out the Frozen one. It's cute. It's fun. If you loved Frozen, you might like it. Or you might have a problem with it, because it basically is rehashing the original movie plot, but going in different directions. Still a little bit different. Okay, so before, I wanted to also do a little mini book haul, because of course I went to the roast office, and my plans are to go to Books A Million tomorrow. Claire asked because unfortunately I can't drive myself there, and our public transportation is not good right now, because they can't get people to work for them. So I'll probably have, more books by the end of the month, but it's probably better that I do these in sections, like in portions, like every time I make a video instead of doing them all in one, because I end up forgetting, which I should be. Also, not only am I going to Books A Million, but I will be getting a book in the mail from Thrift Books as well. It's another situation where the version of the book I had was mass market, and I decided to get a larger size one, a regular size book. So these are the books I got from the roast office. Okay, so first, let's start with, so I was trying to limit myself a little bit to how many books I bought last when I got these two, because it was towards the end of the month. It was towards the end of August. So, but in the second book I got was more of a kind of a, like a spur of the moment decision to pick that one. Because lately I've been looking for a lot of bigger books lately. There's the ones that have been getting my attention. So first we have this, a classic, which it started coming up. You can tell how old it is because I had to put tape on it, because the spine was coming off. But this is Selections from Walden by David Henry Thoreau. I think these are essays. I don't think, this is not an actual story, these are actually essays. Like, I think Thoreau lived out in the wilderness for a period of time in isolation and wrote about his experiences. I think that's what happened. So I think these are essay selections from what he wrote. So I thought that would be kind of interesting too. As like, I have definitely been getting very experimental with the books I get, and the thrift books. And the roast office is very helpful with that, because the roast office doesn't have necessarily a lot of the popular mainstream books. It has some of them, but it will depend on if people are reading them in this community and decide to donate them. So I thought I would try this, It sounded very interesting, a little different, and yes, it is hardback, but it's small, so it'll be easier to hold on to. And I thought it would be good for nonfiction November. I had thought about reading this month for the 30 books in 30 days, but I don't know if that's really going to happen. I've kind of, sort of, thinking about it. I have it in the back of my mind, and I'm trying, but I'm not putting a lot of effort into it. And what I might do is look at what I read and see if any of what I read applies to the Magical Readathon that the book roast is hosting. But none of them, I don't think any of them are actually fantasy. Well, maybe. Like the Frozen one, the Conceal Don't Feel is fantasy, obviously. And I'm trying to think of what. Can't think of what else am I reading. I don't think I'm reading any other fantasy. But although it does, not that it has to be fantasy, but fantasy would make the most sense. So yeah, I got that one. I also got. So the other one that I kind of picked up at the spur of the moment, and actually I think I have heard about this, and ironically this is a thrift from Thrift Books. It's their little price tag, originally. So and normally, yeah, I don't buy books like just, I mean, I did look at the back, but I don't remember what it said. So I'm going to read the back to you guys. Ruth has returned to Edinburgh after many years of exile. Edinburgh, that got my attention. That probably got my attention. Life left Ruth rootless by death of her estranged father, she is faced with the daunting task of sorting through his possessions. Amidst the dust of her old life, Ruth discovers a hidden diary from the 18th century written by her ancestor, Thomas Erskine. As she sifts through the ancient pages, same last name. I wonder if this is kind of a sort of Erskine. As she sifts through the ancient pages of the past, Ruth is pulled into a story that she can't escape. As the youngest son of a noble family, Thomas's life starts in genteel poverty, but his extraordinary experiences propel him from the high seas to Lord Chancellor. Yet on his journey through life, he makes a powerful enemy who hounds him to death, and beyond. Ruth opens a door to the past that she can't close, and she meets a ghost in her family tree who wasn't invited. She will have to draw up new friends, and old, in what will become a battle for her very survival. Oh, yep, and that, now I remember. Inspiration for the story lies in the author Barbara Erskine's own history. her personal family history. That's right. So that's why the character from the past has her last name. So I guess it's fiction, but it's like inspired by her own. Which it's $12.99. It's cheaper, and so it's cheaper in the UK than in Canada. Which I remember there are some booktubers who there's I can't remember her name, Sam something, who talks about how Canadian prices are really expensive. So yeah, I thought that sounded really interesting when I read it the first time, and it sounds interesting again. So. Like I said, I've just been really intrigued by every time I go there. Books that, like, first the size of the book kind of gets my attention, and if I heard about it on BookTube, like, I recognize the author's name or whatever, although, once again, I bought a Joyce Carol Oates book, and then I changed my mind and decided not to, I didn't want to pursue it, so, that one, The Accursed, I decided to put in the donation pile, which I think part of the reason is I've heard that possibly the whole supernatural aspect isn't actually real. It's just speculated. It's rumors and stuff, and I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't want to. It just didn't keep me invested. Stop it. Hang on, books do that. They slide on my lap when I'm holding it. Okay, so the last three are what I got yesterday. So, two of these are books that I had debated. I have been going back and forth and getting them, and I'm glad they were still there. So first is one that I originally checked out from. Was another situation, which I've done this before, where I'll check out a book from the library and then decide that because it's really long, I'm going to wait and return it and get it somewhere else. Just buy the book. So, that is Buccaneers by Edith Wharton. I love Edith Wharton's writing style. So far, I've liked her work. I've read The Age of Innocence, and I've read some of her shorter works. And I do have another collection of her works that I need to read on my shelf. I think they're ghost stories. But this one is pirates, I believe. Okay, so it's set during the same time period as The Age of Innocence was. Oh, and these American girls are denied entry into society because, for obviously the stupid reason of their money is too new. Rich people have dumb reasons for not accepting people into society. Although, we're probably not much different today. I mean, maybe a little bit. So they are suggested to go to London to marry lords, earls, and dukes who... Oh, wait, maybe it's not pirates. I thought it was pirates. It's going by the title, The Buccaneers. I was thinking pirates. I mean, maybe these rich guys are pirates. I don't know. So for some reason I was thinking it was pirates. Maybe I'm thinking about the Daphne du Maurier book. That's pirates. But anyway, so American girls go to the UK to meet some guys, some rich dudes, because they're not accepted in America because their money is too new. It's just ridiculous. Of course, I didn't grow up during this time period, and nowadays it's just hard to look at the past and think about the reasons people have for not, marrying someone or not accepting someone into society, and I can't fathom it. Like, I'm reading Dr. Thorne by Anthony Trollope, and, this family, the two people who are in love with each other, they are told they can't get married because the guy has to marry into money because his father was a dumbass and gambled away a lot of their money. So I guess if you're so used to having money, it's like you want to keep the family. So I guess I can kind of understand the mom, but not a lot. But I still do not like her. The guy's mother, who's like, you have to marry for money. I mean, they say that phrase so many times. That's what the book should be called. Marry for money or something. Or he should marry money or something. Like, kind of like Anthony Trollope's He Knew He Was Right. It should be like, he had to marry for money or something. I don't know, something like that. That's all I might know. So yeah, I guess I was thinking Pirates because of the title, but maybe not. I guess not. So yeah, that's Buccaneers. Which I'm glad I found it. I almost bought Summer too, which I did read from the library, but I decided, I don't need to buy that one. Maybe I will someday. Okay, so the last two I bought yesterday were. So this is one where I remember my uncle talking about Plato's Republic, and how it was an interesting read. And I should check it out. I kept debating about getting it, and because I did attempt to take a philosophy class, and I kind of liked it, but it was a bit of a challenge, and it was something I was used to. So and I kind of regret not putting in more effort to it, because I just had trouble comprehending some of the philosophy and stuff. I mean, I like the idea of it. So I saw this one, and I was like, what the heck, I'm gonna try it. And I am a little bit older, and I can always, talk to some people, like my dad, about it. But I thought, this is Plato's Republic. I always say La Plata when it's not La Plata. That's where I was born, in La Plata, in Maryland. But it's Plato, actually. And some of his other works. So we have the Symposium, Parmenides, Euthyro, Apology, Crito, and Video. So I hope I'm saying those right. I apologize if I'm not, but I've never studied, I think this is Greek. I think Plato was Greek. Or, I think he was Greek. Sorry if I got that wrong as well. But I thought I would check it out, and, of course, I wasn't going to get it cheaper anywhere else. So, although they had a copy in the Arcturus editions at Books A Million, they do have a copy of the Republic. But this one is better, because even though the cover is not as glamorous, is not as pretty. Although, actually, I do kind of like the cover, it's not something where you need to use your imagination, so it's okay that it has a person's face on the cover. It has Plato's face on the cover, or an image of him. But I actually kind of like it, now that I think about it, I like the cover. But it doesn't just include, it's not just the Republic, it's all his other works as well. So it's probably better that I got this one. And it actually still is a little bit cheaper than the Arcturus edition of, because not only is it the Republic, but it's also these other ones. It's only like $4. So, it's probably smarter that I got this one anyway. So, a lot of times when I get books, it's like one of these things where, I decide I'm gonna get it now. I gotta jump on it now. Because just like with what recently happened with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, Lisa said that it was there, but someone bought it already. Probably, like it wasn't there anymore. Although I was tempted to ask her if I could look under, because they sometimes have books under the little display, table, where they have the short stories and the westerns and the young adult books and the fantasy and all that. Sometimes they still have some books under there because they have so many books. So I thought about asking, but I didn't want to be all like take advantage, and I would rather have been more comfortable to ask Lisa instead of any of the other women that work there. So yeah, but either way, I did eventually, get Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell from Amazon. So the last one is one that I had looked into before, and I do remember looking at reviews, and reading the 3-star reviews. But, I've decided I always, I think I need to just ignore those and just try it for myself. And if I am actually interested, just to try it for myself. Because if I'm just not interested in it, thinking, oh, I see that book, I'm kind of interested, then, I will continue to listen. But I think there's some of those books that I could have potentially loved, and, and I think I can sometimes let BookTube and Goodreads influence me, which I think is both good and bad, because sometimes you just need to make a decision about a book if it's worth your time, because, and sometimes, if you're willing to take the time, then nothing's wrong, then don't listen to necessarily go with the reviews. But, this is a long book. But this is Blood and Beauty, a novel of the Borgias. So it's once again about the Borgia family, and if you know your history, they were a rich family in Italy, and there's a lot of drama and a lot of rumors and a lot of naughty stuff going on in that family. So, okay, so I'm just gonna read what's on the back. By the end of the 15th century, the beauty and creativity of Italy is matched by its brutality and corruption, nowhere more than in Rome, in the church. When Cardinal Rodrigo Borgia buys his way into the papacy, Alexander VI, he is defined not just by his wealth or his passionate love for his illegitimate children, but by his blood. He is a Spanish pope in a city run by Italians. If the Borgias are to triumph, the charismatic, consummate politician with a huge appetite for life, women, and power must use the papacy, and family to succeed. His eldest son, Cesar, of dazzling cold intelligence and even colder soul, is his greatest, though increasingly unstable, weapon. Later immortalized in Machiavelli's The Prince, he provides the energy and the muscle. His daughter Lucrezia, developed, beloved by both men, is the prime dynastic tool. 12 years old when the novel opens, hers is a journey through 3 marriages, from childish innocence to painful experience, from pawn to political power. Stripping away the myths around the Borgias, Blood and Beauty is a majestic novel that breathes life into this astonishing family and celebrates the raw power of history itself, compelling and complex and relentless. And actually, the first time I heard the Borgias, was actually in Gregory Maguire's A Mirror, Mirror. It's a retelling of Snow White, but it involves the Borgias. It obviously takes place in Italy, and the Snow White character ends up being her stepmother ends up being, or the people, Lucrezia and her brother Cesar end up kind of raising her when they send her father on a mission, on a holy mission, like finding the Holy Grail or something. So I was kind of intrigued by it, especially, and then of course Jennifer Brooks, who talks about the Borgias constantly, she got my interest in them as well, which it always helps. Like, some of my favorite booktubers, they are the reason I get interested in a subject matter, particularly in reading material. So, I'm going to give this one a shot, because even though I might have, read some stuff, and I almost feel like I should start reading it now. I'm trying not to, because there are a lot of books that, I need to read and get done. Although, you know what, I think I'm entitled, because yesterday I finally, after years and years of reading the book, I finally finished The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. I decided to listen to it via audiobook, because my iPhone has a audiobook app on it. So I don't have to rely on Libby all the time. And, there's books that are 10 times longer that will take me more than a week to listen to them. So finally I got it, and I can listen to it, and I finally finished it, and it's just so incredibly weird to say that. And I will do a review, and what I like to do is rewatch the movie see if maybe it's on HBO Max or something, and rewatch it, or maybe it's on Netflix or something, and watch. Of course, it will probably be on neither one of them. Although I've had better luck on HBO Max. But I like to watch that movie again. Although I remember it very well because it hasn't been it hasn't been that long since I watched the movie. But and also I would like to do a video. I remember a while back I did a video where I talked about why, and I'm going to talk about Harry Potter here. I know people say you probably shouldn't talk about it because you don't want to. But you know what? As I always say, it's not like she's getting my money or anything. I'm not promoting her. I'm just talking about Harry Potter, mentioning it, and that I remember I did a video a while back, which I don't know, maybe because of how you guys feel about J.K. Rowling, people feel about J.K. Rowling, then people probably don't watch that video anymore. But I did do a video where I talk about why Harry Potter would be a better TV show. So I would like to do that with Count of Monte Cristo because so far it's been a movie and. Some of the older ones, I don't know if they were movies or miniseries, but I know it's been adapted before the one from 2002, I think, is when that movie came out. So I would like to talk about how I would love for it to see it as like a TV show, maybe a limited TV series or something. But anyway, I'm so happy. I can finally say I finally finished the oldest book, the one I've had the longest in my collection. Because, Lord of the Rings was beyond there too, but I donated those. So, although every time I go to the bookstore, I think maybe I should buy another copy of Lord of the Rings and try reading the book because I've listened to an audiobook. But anyway, so you know what? I am entitled. I can cheat a little bit. So, that is my review of Conceal, Don't Feel, and a little mini book haul. So, and like I said, I will probably have more books by the end of the month, I'm sure. So, I know I will, actually, because I'm at least getting, one in the mail, and then a couple tomorrow, so. Anyway, so if you guys like this video, be sure to give a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, click the bell notification below. I hope you are continuing to stay safe, and if you guys like where I work, where now, once again, it's mandatory to wear your mask. I hope you are wearing your mask and staying healthy and enjoying your reading. Alright, bye!